welcome to my sewing room. I am so thrilled to be sharing with you some pieces that I truly consider to be haute couture. My friend Tryon has brought some beautiful things to share with you. This dress is so simple and so elegant, and the technique, which she's going to share with you a little bit later, is called bridging. And there simply are 3 beautiful rows of bridging which go all the way down the front of this elegant linen dress, and there's absolutely no embellishment at all except these beautiful rows of bridging, all done by machine, of course. Now here is an interesting concept. If you're so fortunate as to have an embroidery machine, you can do this wonderful linen christening dress with your machine embroidery white with ecru on the front, and then there's some beautiful laces and beads have been attached by hand and going on down the skirt of the christening dress, just elegant work with white linen and ecru lace. However, if you do not have a machine which does the big embroidery, you can also make this same dress just as beautifully simply by doing whatever little decorative stitches you have in a circle. And once again, the rest of the dress, you can just use what stitches you have and put your little beads on and make it very beautiful. This is absolutely fabulous. This top, gray linen, and the technique on the bottom, once again, is the beautiful bridging stitch, bridging the bottom strip to the base of the blouse. And then you can see these wonderful little beads which have been attached. This is just so fashionable, especially this season, and just adds that little touch of glamour. This wonderful jacket is also done out of linen, and you may notice that it's cut on the bias, which I love bias. It's beautiful. But what I really want to show you is the sleeve. Let me hold it around here where you can see. The sleeve has a beautiful machine embroidery, once again with little beads stitched on, and the bridging stitch all by machine, and then these wonderful little beads at the bottom. And now won't you come over to the technique boards with me, and we'll begin to learn just how to do these fabulous things. I cannot wait to show you this elegant top and pants. This is a purple linen, and look at the beautiful machine embroidery, which is the first row, and then this elegant ladder bridging, which attaches the 2 pieces of fabric, and then the beaded fringe around the bottom of the crop top. Now come on down and let's look at the pants legs. It has exactly this, well, almost exactly the same treatment. The beautiful ladder bridging and the fringed beading. Now let's just see how we do this. First of all, you have to get 2 pieces of fabric with finished edges in order to do the bridging. You can just simply turn it back, and you can serge it for one finish and then turn it back. Let me go up here just a minute and share with you what you have to do on your pattern. You must slice the pattern and figure out the pieces in between, how much you need or don't need. This shows the top. And this shows that you must cut the pants so you'll have the 2 pieces of fabric to add. Now, to go back with the bridging, you can do all kinds of stitches. You can do a feather stitch, such as we have here. And then there's a stitch over here, which is kind of a squiggly stitch, but it's similar to the feather stitch, but yet it's a little bit different. You have a true bridging stitch right here that we've been using since 1850 something to join 2 pieces together. It looks very much like handwork. And then you have the ladder bridging, which is a built-in on the machine also, and a much heavier look, which is also very beautiful. I have as my very special guest today my friend and business colleague, Tryon. Chris is Director of Education for ELNA USA. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Martha. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I want you to show us exactly how this is done.
I'm excited to show you. This is actually a really great technique to use and has been used in women's clothing for centuries. And what I decided to do was to take it to tailored garments or more conservative garments. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is on your pattern pieces, mark the position in which you want to have the bridging hit, which would be on a top around your waist. Then you're going to split your pattern piece along this line, and what you want to do when you lay out your pattern pieces is give yourself about 1 inch in between the 2 pieces, because you're going to fold under a 1/2 inch when you're ready to actually attach the pieces back together. the biggest thing to remember is that you're going to need to finish those seams because, as you know, when you rub against fabric, it eventually ravels and wears. So a couple of ways that you can do that is to just simply fold the edge under, to bind the edge, and you can use your selvage off of your fabric to do that so it's coordinating, or to use the quick method of the serger.
Oh, yes.
Yes, my favorite too. Then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take that edge and you're actually going to fold it in a 1/2 inch on both pieces, not just one, both. That way what it gives you is it gives you the folded edge or the nice fold for the bridging. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're actually going to attach some type of device, and I actually have a great little plate. It's a fagoting plate or bridging plate that you can attach to your machine. And the 3 stitches that you may want to use are the feather stitch, a lace stitch, and then the box stitch. The stitch that I'm going to show you is my favorite, which is the ladder stitch.
That's the one you used on that wonderful outfit.
Yes, that is my ultimate favorite one. So what I've done is I've actually attached the plate, I've selected the stitch, I have my 2 pieces of fabric riding on each side of the little metal piece that acts as my bridge. So what I'm going to do is just simply stitch along, and you can notice that the needle swings from the left to the right, and then what it does is it comes back and it wraps all of those threads, creating that ladder effect. And you need to go a little bit slower, but the results are well worth the speed that you go.
So it goes back and forth.
And then now you can see it's coming back and it's actually wrapping over those threads. And
it wraps over that bridge.
Yes, yes. And if you can imagine, women used to do this by hand.
Oh, sure, sure.
So I'm glad I live today and have a machine.
Well, this ladder stitch has been around forever, but sometimes instead of being able to do it on the machine, they had to purchase. And if you want to do purple, you can't purchase purple ladder stitching, so a purple bridging.
Yes, yes.
I think that's fascinating to watch.
And the other thing that I have to say about it is when you use this technique, the thread weight is vitally important. You need to use a 60 weight, a 70 weight, or an 80 weight. Don't use a 30 weight thread, because when it goes back over and it wraps, it just creates a huge clump, and it doesn't end up being overly attractive.
Too heavy to thread.
Yes. So you really want to watch those types of things. And if you notice, I'm just simply holding the fabric, and the plate is keeping the pieces apart.
Keep it together. Oh, Chris, thank you so very much. And now Chris has a garment construction tip for you. Chris, I can't wait for you to share with our viewers what you're going to do with those wonderful beads.
I can't wait either. I mean, I just collect them. I love them so much. I just wanted to start off by showing you kind of the way the fringe beads come, and just a couple little things that I learned the hard way. Usually what they do is when you see them, you see a tape which is similar to a satin ribbon, and you see the beads actually attached to them. But what you need to do is you need to look at the back side, because on the back side what they do is they run a runner thread which the beads are actually attached to. So when you cut that runner thread. So my suggestion is when you're attaching these, that you actually give yourself a good inch to pull that runner thread and knot it, so that when you're wearing your garment, you aren't losing your beads.
This is not good.
No. And you can just see some of the different styles of the beads that you have available with some of the different ribbons. This one is a velvet one, which I think is just great. Now the technique that I'm showing is we're actually attaching it underneath the hem. You could also attach these on the top side too. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to need to fold up your hem and just simply press it. And what I've done in this case here is I've attached this wonderful tape called wash away basting tape. And I use this instead of pins because I find that pins tend to pull the fabric in, and then I was having to pull them out. I was stitching, which I don't always pay attention, so I sewed over a few. So with the wash away basting tape, one side, as you'll notice, is sticky, and the other side has got the paper attached. So all that you simply do is just line up the edge of the wash away basting tape with that edge on your fold. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're actually going to go ahead and peel away that piece of paper. Now, since this is a smaller piece, on a much larger piece, I peel and attach. And this, yeah, a little bit at a time. Otherwise, you know, it's kind of like your fingers get sticky and everything just sticks, and it just ends up being more of a nightmare than what you anticipated. The next part is you have to think of when you fold your hem down, you're folding it in. So if I were to attach my beads in this manner, they'd be on the inside. So I have to think backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply just going to take my beaded fringe along the tape and just simply run it along that hem edge and just run my finger along, and it's attached. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so it makes it great for sewing. Okay, and in this case you can see that it has already been attached. This is the last thing that I do. Everything should be done with your garment before you go on to this stage, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the straight stitch on my sewing machine, and you're going to need to use your zipper foot, okay? Or a foot that has an edge that your needle can come up very close. It's almost like putting in an invisible zipper if you think of it in that manner. So I've put on my zipper foot. I've actually moved my needle a little closer over to the beads, and there's a ridge, and you can feel that ridge where your beads are attached, and I'm just simply going to stitch along, and you can see I'm using my foot as I'm stitching, which makes it so much easier than trying to use any other type of foot. Okay, once they're attached, all that you're simply going to do, they're attached, is you're going to fold that piece up, and then you're either going to hand stitch or you're going to machine stitch your hem. And you're done, you're set. That's how easy it is.
That is so much fun, and it's just so happy. Those beads just make me happy.
Well, kind of fun.
And it's really easy too. That's what we really like, is easy, isn't it?
You make it easy, and make a technique easy and simple.
Chris, thank you so
You're
very
more than
much
welcome.
for being here again this year.
You're more than welcome.
And next I have a doll dress for you. Cathedral lace windows are so beautiful and really pretty easy to make. Look at this beautiful doll dress on little Mary, who's standing up all modeling for you. Now, do you see the cathedral lace windows on this lapel right here, this sailor lapel? That's what I'm going to share with you, how to make that little lapel today. Now, come on down and look at her skirt. How beautiful it is with machine embroidery, entredeaux, more beautiful cathedral lace windows with entredeaux, and then the little hem is also embellished with machine embroidery. Now here is how you do those cathedral lace windows that look so hard, but they're not. First of all, I need 2 pieces of bias strip. I need 2 strips of bias. Then I put them together and I straight stitch using a basting stitch all the way down, stitching those 2 pieces of bias together. Now then, let me move this one apart. After stitching it, let me open it up here and show you. After stitching the 2 pieces of bias together, as you can see I have done here, I then fold it where I can pull them apart. Can you see there? I have folded it where the seam is right in the middle. Now then, I put a piece of lace on. Now, the next trick is I do not sew that through 2 layers. Let me show you what I do. After I put the piece of lace, hang on a minute, I just open 1 piece only and stitch the lace through 1 piece only. I do the same thing on the other side. Open it up and straight stitch the lace through 1 piece only. And then that is the wrong side. Then I turn it over. And the next step I have to do is to bar tack about every 2 inches. Here's a bar tack, here's a bar tack, here's a bar tack, and then I pull the basting threads out. Now this is really simple to do, and this is all you do. I've got my iron over here, so let me show you. I finger press open after pulling the basting thread out, and then I come in here and press. Okay, then I finger press open once again to make the cathedral lace windows, and I come in and press, and that is all there is to making cathedral lace windows. Now then, after the cathedral lace windows are made, I then attach entredeaux either with a serger, just serge right down beside it, or do stitch in the ditch, trim, and zigzag to attach the entredeaux. Then I open the entredeaux up on both sides. I trim away I trim away the seam allowance of the entredot. This is purchased entredot, by the way. And then I attach my lace. You can either attach it flat as we have done, or you can gather it a little bit. I attach my lace, I miter the corners, and then I am now ready to put some stabilizer underneath it, and then I'm ready to make my final piece, which looks like this. After I make my little final piece, I then have the bodice of the dress all cut out, as you can see right here, and then I stitch it down to the bodice of the dress. First of all, I come in here and I sew a little straight seam, and then I flip it over, as you can see, and then I will stitch it down to the dress, and then come in, of course, and cut away. And that is all there is to doing the cathedral lace windows like you saw on this beautiful doll dress. And now, won't you join me for some silk ribbon by hand stitches? I'm so pleased to have as my guest today my dear friend and business colleague, Beverley Sheldrick from New Zealand. Beverley is one of the most accomplished needle artists in the world today, and she has published for so many publications around the world, including So Beautiful magazine. She is also the author of a book on needlework, and she teaches regularly at the Martha Pullen School of Art Fashion in Huntsville. Beverley, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the welcome, Martha. You know, it's just wonderful to be here and to be with you and to be with your viewers. Now, Martha, today I would like to talk to your viewers about the roses that are at the top and in the middle, these ones either side of the tumbling blocks there. At first glance, you're probably not aware of the fact that there are actually two different roses there. The centre one, of course, is that wound rose, the 5-star rose, but the other two are a little backstitch rose. And they're just done just a little bit differently. One of the things that I like about them is that they're particularly suitable for children's clothing. You know, you can just take a little t-shirt and pop a few roses round it, and you've got something looking pretty quite quickly, but is also going to stand up to wear in the washing machine. And you know what kids are like.
Lots of washing.
They're always dirty, aren't they? Now, it's really a very easy little rose to do, and we'll just go through these steps. Here, I've got 3 of these French knots. Now, when you do these French knots, Martha, we want them close together, you know, snuggled up. Think of your husband, viewers, and give him a cuddle. That's how we want these little French knots, which are here. Then we're going to take another colour and we're going to go round them in this backstitch way, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. And with this one, the colour's a little leery in this, but it just shows that if you want to, you can use 3 different colours. I've got a bigger colour jump here than I would normally have, so I would like it to be more shaded. But we want to be able to see the difference. So you can see we've got that dark purple in there, we've got a lighter lavender in here, and then we've got this brightish pink around here. Now, the reason that I've got this one here is because I want to demonstrate to your viewers that when you're working around here, when you go around the second time, then you do not take the stitch in the same position each time. Because as you can see, I've got a rose here which does not look pretty. It's becoming, well, this one is not a square rose, but it's very definitely a 5-sided one. And we don't want that. So you lose the naturalness. So it is important, don't take all your stitches in the same place, but just intersperse them like that. So here we are, we have one little French knot there, and of course for a French knot, over and back, holding it, putting it down like that, and taking it through. It doesn't fail that way. And then the third one would come up there like that. Now you can see that I I'm now moving on to my second colour here, and I've got my needle all ready to go, and we're just going to turn it over there like that. Make sure we don't pull it through because, as you know, I don't work with knots on the back. And I'm just going to take a little back stitch like that, pulling it through, pulling it away from myself like that. Turn it round a wee bit, push it in again, and continue to just work your way round like that. But what I want you to remember is, although we call it a back stitch, we only take a small stitch, and I think that you can see that like that. And I like to use the finger that I've got underneath to push that fabric up like that, so that when I take, I'm moving it round a wee bit, when I take that little stitch like that, can you see how I'm pushing it up like that, which makes it easier for that needle to get in and come out again. You could just see how I'm quickly working my way round like this. I've got to the stage now where I'm, just take that underneath there like this. I've got to the stage where I've gone all the way round once. Now I'm at the point where I'm going to take my second lot of stitches and just take that away from us like that. And these stitches now are just coming in between where the previous stitches were, like that. And then I'm just going to continue going on round, taking them. You can see, just take that behind to make it easier for you to see, but you can see where that stitch is lying in relationship to the previous one. And then this would be the point that if I was changing colours, then I would change colours at that point. So just take the needle through to the back, bring the next one up where it would have, the next stitch would have been, and continue going on. You can make these flowers any size you like, ladies. If you want a large one, then just keep on going round. Otherwise, just make it the size to fit the design that you want.
Beverley, thank you so much for sharing another wonderful silk ribbon stitch.
Thank you.
And next, I have a home decorating project for you. This project is so fast and easy. It's a cute little night-light cover. First of all, you take a plastic cup and an artist knife and a craft knife and cut it in half. Then you embellish this little half of a cup just any way you want to. We've done one here with fabric and braid and little gathered lace. And I have another one here with just fabric and a little bit of braid. Then you take your hot glue gun, put a little bit of glue right there, put your little embellished cover on it, and look what a sweet little nightlight cover you have. Won't you join me in my attic? This is such a beautiful christening dress. It has Ayrshire embroidery, and my guesstimate is that it's about 150 years old. Every bit of this dress is stitched completely by hand. Now, I want to show you something here. The little tab that comes on the outside can also be tucked into the dress. They used it for either a boy or a girl. Little boys, it was on the outside. Little girls, it was on the inside. Look at the magnificent embroidery on this dress. Can you even imagine the amount of time it must have taken someone to have stitched this dress? It is so beautiful. It's almost as beautiful on the back as it is on the front. Just perfection stitching. And it's just truly a magnificent creation. The beautiful thing is, on today's sewing machines, we can get sort of that look by machine. I want to thank you so much for joining me in my sewing room today. And most importantly, I'd like to invite you to come back next time.